Hello, and welcome to Read It and Don't Weep, the podcast that will help you breeze through your high school literature classes. Are you tired of struggling to understand the themes and characters in classic works of literature? Well, I've got you covered. I'm your host, Jackie Taggart, and I taught high school English for almost 20 years. Join me each episode as I dive into the world of high school literature and break down the essential elements of each work. From Shakespeare to Steinbeck, I'll cover it all. My goal is to give you valuable insight and analysis on some of the most popular high school literary texts, as well as tips and tricks for acing your tests and essays. Let's start reading. Welcome to Read It and Don't Weep. In this episode, we are diving into Macbeth, otherwise known as the Scottish play. This is my absolute favorite Shakespearean play. It's bloody, violent, and short. It also includes the supernatural, which is why many people feel it is cursed. If you want to learn more about the curse of Macbeth, I have another episode specifically on this topic. Also, if you have not listened to my other episode on the structure of a Shakespearean play, I suggest you listen to that episode before continuing. If you do not have a copy of the play, but want to follow along, I suggest using myshakespeare.com. This is a free website that includes translations, videos, and other resources to help you understand the text. Let's start reading Act 1. The very first scene of Macbeth is short, sharp, and chilling. The play opens with thunder and lightning, and three weird sisters enter. We would call them witches. They essentially have a quick meeting to plan their next meeting. The first witch asks when the three of them should meet again. The second and third witch agree they will meet once the hurly-burly is done, which is when the battle is lost and won. So there's a current battle going on, and they will meet again when it's over. Where will they meet? The heath. A heath refers to an open area of land. And who are they planning to meet? Macbeth. The witches wrap up their quick gathering by calling their familiars, Graymalkin and Paddock, a gray cat and a toad. And then they drop perhaps the most famous couplet of the entire play. Fair is foul and foul is fair, hover through the fog and filthy air. This scene, which only has 13 lines, establishes immediately that our main character, Macbeth, is destined to meet with these supernatural forces. This last couplet identifies one of the primary themes within the play, that what is fair or good is foul or bad, and what is bad is actually good. As you read, keep an eye out for examples of this. Hey teachers, are you looking for some top-notch resources to go along with this podcast episode? You'll find them right in my store. A quick click on the link in the show notes gets you right there. What awaits? A stash of guided questions, note-taking aids, and assessments to use with your students. Go ahead and make the most of these resources today. We transition straight from the dark and stormy night to the bloody reality of war. Act 1, Scene 2 takes place at a military camp near Forres, signaled by the sound of trumpets. We meet King Duncan, the King of Scotland, and his sons, Malcolm and Donalbain. Then there's Lord Lennox and some other attendants. The king is waiting for news about a recent rebellion against him. In walks a bleeding soldier, who King Duncan immediately asks for a report on what's happening. Malcolm recognizes the man as a sergeant who bravely fought to prevent his capture. The sergeant, though heavily injured, delivers a vivid description of the fight. He says the battle initially stood doubtful, using the simile as two spent swimmers that do cling together. What does this mean? Basically, he's saying at first the two armies were like tired swimmers, clinging to each other, both so worn out that they were dragging each other down, and it wasn't clear who would win. The rebel leader, the merciless Macdonald, had many keens and gallows glasses, a fancy way to say peasant soldiers, joining him in helping him. Fortune seemed to be smiling on Macdonald. But then the tides turned because of brave Macbeth, a name the sergeant says Macbeth well deserves. Macbeth acted like valor minion, totally ignored fate. He used his sword to carve out a path for the rebel leader. Macbeth was so brutal that he unseamed him from knave to chaps and fixed his head upon our battlements. That means he sliced him open from his belly button to his jaw and then decapitated him, placing his head on the castle wall for all to see. King Duncan naturally is thrilled and calls Macbeth his valiant cousin, worthy gentleman. But not so fast. The sergeant then reveals that right after they defeated Macdonald, a fresh assault began. The King of Norway took advantage of the situation, aided by the disloyal traitor, the Thane of Cawdor. The king asks if their captains, Macbeth and Banquo, were okay. The sergeant says they're all good. They fought with doubly rebounded strokes upon the foe. Finally, the poor bleeding sergeant is helped off stage to get some medical attention. After the sergeant leaves, Lord Ross, the worthy Thane of Ross, arrives from Fife. Ross confirms the conflict where the Norwegian king, Sweno, assisted by the traitorous Thane of Cawdor, began a conflict. Ross calls Macbeth Bellonia's bridegroom, essentially a husband of the Roman goddess of war, Bellona. He confronted the enemy and secured their victory. Ross reports the Norwegian king is now begging for a treaty. Duncan says he will not call a treaty or even permit Sweno to bury their men until Sweno pays him $10,000. That would be about $500,000 today, which is a huge sum of money. King Duncan, pleased by his soldiers' victory and furious at the betrayal, makes a critical decision that sets Macbeth's fate into motion. Duncan says, "No more the Thane of Cawdor shall deceive our bosom interest. Go pronounce his death, and with his former title, greet Macbeth." So the current Thane of Cawdor will be executed, and Macbeth will immediately inherit his title. King Duncan continues, "What he hath lost, noble Macbeth hath won." Similar to the witch's comment that fair is foul and foul is fair, the battle that was lost by the traitor Cawdor, foul or bad for him as he's going to be executed, is instantly won by the noble Macbeth, fair or good for Macbeth. And that ends Act 1, Scene 2. Before finishing up, I have a question for your reading journal. Based on what you've learned of Macbeth so far, do you think he deserves this new title as Thane of Cawdor? Why or why not? How do you think this good event could possibly turn out to be bad? Thanks for listening to this episode of Read It and Don't Weep. Be sure to subscribe to the show so you will be notified when new episodes are released. If you liked today's show, please leave a review so others can discover my show. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, drop me an email at readitanddon'tweep@gmail.com or reach out to me on social media. I'd love to hear from you. The links are in the show notes. Thank you for listening. I'm Jackie Taggart, and remember to read it and don't weep.